This really has to be my favorite release of the year so far. When I'm thinking about a classic case design from Seiko, it's gotta be the SKX. For a lot of us, it's the watch that really kickstarted our watch collecting journey. And one really quirky thing about the SKX was that Jubilee bracelet. I know a lot of people really didn't like that Jubilee bracelet just because it wasn't as refined as a lot of other bracelets that are out there. But to me, I really love that jingly bracelet from the Seiko SKX. It was something really comfortable to wear and felt very suitable for that watch. Now, when I heard rumors of Seiko making this affordable GMT in the Seiko 5 sports line, I really didn't know what to expect. And I know I stated this before in a previous video, it really seems like this year is all about affordable GMT options or affordable alternatives to other watches out there. And when they officially announced the drop, I knew I had to get my hands on one. Now, out of all the three watches here, the orange one really stuck out to me, and that's the one I personally own. This one belongs to another viewer. Technically he's a viewer, it's my dad. So we have two of the watches here to do a side-by-side comparison with. And to be honest, the blue variant, when I saw it in person, it was pretty cool, but I know it's not a direct homage to the Batman, but we all know why they chose to do the black and blue option. Now before we move on, just a quick word from our sponsor. Now, I'm not sure if this was the case for all of you, but when I first started getting into watches, the watch world for me was a little bit intimidating. Scouring countless watch forums and Instagram pages, even now there seems to be a lot of negativity and elitism that goes on there. That is until I discovered Watch Crunch. They're a platform dedicated just for watches. The community over at Watch Crunch seems to really love all types of watches, whether it's your first ever watch that you picked up for $20 or grail pieces you hope to work towards one day. And this is all wrapped up in their super sleek interface that is super engaging and pretty addicting to use. The team over at Watch Crunch always seems to be tweaking their app, and they're doing a great job of adding new features to keep all of us engaged. Now, this is an app that I really wish came out when I was starting my watch journey, so if you never heard of Watch Crunch, come on and join the community. And while you're at it, come on and follow me on Watch Crunch as well, at Clicky Bezel. I'll see you there. So really, there are three things that I absolutely love about this watch. Right off the bat, it is an affordable GMT under $500. And it's not just any GMT, it's a mechanical GMT. I can't really think of any other big brands out there that offer a mechanical GMT. And initially when I heard that they have a new movement from this, I really thought it was a new movement from Seiko built from the ground up. But after doing more research from several other sources, it turns out it's actually a modified off-the-shelf movement from Seiko. So yes, because of this, it isn't a true GMT, rather it's a traveler's GMT, but really that doesn't bother me, especially coming from a big brand like this and having it in a very familiar case like this SKX case style here. Now, another thing that I absolutely adore of this watch is that updated Jubilee bracelet. As I said before, I was always a fan of the original Jubilee bracelets that came on the SKX, and to see it come back and updated in all its glory in this new model here was such a pleasure to see. Now, it's still a rattly bracelet, but it isn't as flexible as the original SKX bracelet, and that is something I can get behind because on the wrist, it feels almost like a Strapco Jubilee bracelet. A lot of reviewers and enthusiasts are a little bit ashamed of the stamped clasp here, but you know what? It doesn't bother me, it gets the job done, and it really keeps the cost low for this particular watch. And lastly, another interesting thing that really caught my eye was that bezel detail. I've never seen this type of bezel finish on any other watch before, or at least in Seiko's lineup. Like all GMTs, this bezel does have that split finish on there, where half of the bezel is black and half of the bezel is a mirror-like finish to it. Both of the watches here have that black and mirror-like finish to it, so a really smart thing that Seiko did for this watch in terms of the bezel play was to have it fitted on as a friction-fitted bezel. This really gives you the freedom of turning it and not having any alignment issues with ratcheting bezels like we see on a lot of their other diver watches, and it's a very satisfying smooth bezel play action. For any of you that are familiar with Vostok bezels and how they also have a friction fitted bezel, it isn't as janky as that. Sometimes there's like some weird hard stops and some odd noises you can get from turning them. It's very smooth, and once you get into place, it stays in place and it doesn't really get knocked around once it's on your wrist. Now, I was really curious if there was going to be any case design changes in terms of fitting in the new movement to the watch, so I have it here compared to the Seiko 5 Rowing Blazers edition. And really there's no difference with them aside from that bezel and of course the third hand coming out of it, so it's going to give you a good idea of what the sizing is going to be on your wrist. So this brings up a really good question. Should you buy the Seiko 5 GMT? Especially if you already own an SKX or a Seiko 5 watch? Well, really it depends. If you've been holding out on purchasing a GMT, maybe it's a GMT that only offers a quartz movement inside the watch. Even though it is going to be a tad bit cheaper than a mechanical one, maybe this watch will push you over the edge to just spend a little bit more money to purchase a mechanical GMT from Seiko. If GMT complications really aren't your thing and you already own the SKX or a Seiko 5 sports model, the original one with the Jubilee bracelet, I would say it's okay to skip on this because really it's the same watch that you already own, only with the GMT hand stuck on there with a new bezel fitted onto it. However, I would highly recommend getting this bracelet somehow. I'm not sure if Seiko's just selling the bracelet, but if they are, I would highly recommend getting it. So I lived with this watch for roughly a month now, and I'm absolutely loving every moment with it. I find it on my wrist more often than my Pepsi, just because going out and about with the watch, no one really knows what it is on your wrist. And with all these watch thefts going on, I kind of worry about what I have on my wrist depending on where I am. So it's safer just to slap on this Seiko GMT and just go about your day. And that's about it. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe down below. And I'm Chris from Clicky Bezel, and we'll see you all on the next one.